just going to start with, this tour. You've said you're retiring the Demon with the Kiss End of the Road tour. And I just want to know, is it like a relief to kind of not have to put all the makeup back on, or do you miss it?
I believe it's a complex combination of emotions. There's an enormous sense of pride for having changed the face of live performances. When we first started out, you'd have a guy with a tie-dyed T-shirt, an acoustic guitar, looking on at his shoes, thinking he's doing you a favor by charging you full price for a concert ticket. We had a different point of view.
Mhm.
Delusionally, we wanted to put together the band we never saw on stage, a
Right.
band that took no prisoners, big fireworks, and all that stuff, and not paying attention to what. Well, you're not supposed to do that. Said who? I mean, this whole rock and roll thing is like a nation of gypsies. You just kind of do it.
Mhm.
Almost all of us, whoever does this popular music thing, can't read or write music in the first place. Never went to music school, have no idea what we're doing. We just fumble our way through it. And somehow, I like that, you sort of let your ears and your eyes do the talking. And so Kiss has been around half a century, touring around the world, and literally changing the face of live events. If you go to
Mhm.
wrestling matches and you see fireworks and things levitating, where do you think they got that from? Kenny G?
Right.
Yeah. Or Air Supply. So, and by the way, I don't really care as long as the audience, as long as the fans get a heightened experience. And so, if you go to see Garth or Paul McCartney or anybody,
Mhm.
they're using fireworks. And why would anybody do that except? And so, to me, it never mattered who gets credit or not, who's the first. Who cares? As
Mhm.
long as you're giving fans their money's worth, which is
Mhm.
what it's all about. So I thought I'd be fine. Half a century of touring, that's plenty. And because I've got other stuff, that I do, a restaurant chain and
Mhm.
a film company, and I do sodas and wines and things like that. There's enough on the plate. I didn't think I'd miss the stage. It
Mhm.
just there's something that happens on that stage you can't buy in a supermarket.
Right.
That magic. I mean, I have more fun than the Pope. And by the way, I send best wishes to His Holiness. But this thing, it's funny when you're on the road and you're exhausted, you can't wait to get home. Then when you're home, you can't wait to get back up on stage. Now, especially Gene Simmons' band is actually a collection of rogues. These
Mhm.
three guys who I've got with me are killers, multi instrumentalists who can all sing lead, and they do during the show. And we do stuff that Kiss could never do because it's loose as a goose. We don't even have a manager. Just show up and play and literally pull fans up on stage from the audience. If you can sing or play, I'm going to pull you up.
Mhm.
No rules. I may pull up 30 fans up on stage to sing Kumbaya, I Love It Loud, or anything.
Mhm.
Can't do that with Kiss. You step in the wrong place and your ass is toast.
Mhm.
Literally, it
Yeah.
would be life threatening. So it's very loose, and literally, some of the fans might call out, why don't you do "Sunshine of Your Love"? You know that one? We'd look around. Let's do it in D. Yeah, you want to do it? Who wants to sing? And then you do it.
Mhm.
No rules. I might even jump into the crowd and engage. It's much more. Almost no two shows are alike,
Mhm.
and we do unreleased material I wrote that Kiss never recorded.
Mhm.
I produced the first Van Halen and discovered them, the first Van Halen demo, which became the first album and second record. And one of the songs on there called House of Pain, not the same one the band recorded, a totally different song, steamroller of a song. They never recorded, they never performed live. We do that song live. And as soon as it starts, it's like a steamroll, like 0 to 60 in a few seconds. And our drummer, Brian Tishy, sings Ace of Spades, the Motorhead tune. I was invited by the family to go to Lemmy's funeral, sadly, and we exchanged stories and all that stuff. But he sings just the crap out of that song. Everybody's having a good time, which is what it's all about. The performance is Kiss is I'm going to show off and see all the stuff, see the heavens shake.
Mhm.
Um, Gene Simmons band is more like your favorite band is rehearsing in the garage. You hear it, and then the garage door opens, and you get a chance to kind of surround the band and be part of the fun.
Mhm.
Much more informal.
I saw you're also um, you've got a roadie for a day.
Yeah, this is not for everybody,
Hmm.
and it ain't cheap. It's also a different world than what I grew up in. Nowadays, if you get a paper cut, oh look, I've got a little paper cut. Everybody gets sued. So I can't just bring anybody onto our world.
Mhm.
Remember, we don't have roadies, managers. It's just us.
Mhm.
So I can't just bring somebody from the outside. There's insurance you got to deal with.
Right.
So this is not cheap. So we'll probably take one, maybe two, but one per show. And it's my personal roadie for the day. You hang with me in the hotel if you want to eat, same place I do stuff the whole day. You go travel with me in the SUV. I don't do the limo stuff. I don't like it.
Right.
And show up at the gig if you want to set up drums, guitars, tune them, do all that stuff. Be on stage, video everything, and then I pull you out on stage and introduce you to everybody so that the experience is from up there instead of from down there, if you see what I mean. So I was never given that chance when I was growing up. If I went to see the Stones as a kid, you're in the audience and you go, "Hey, that was a great show,"
Mhm.
but you don't know what it's like on the stage. It's like behind the curtain of The Wizard of Oz.
And you talked about kind of the differences in performance. It's looser, compared to Kiss. As far as behind the scenes of it all, what are the big differences there in terms of doing it all yourself?
It is you have to tune your own instrument. You got to wipe your own ass. There's no security guys. There's no road. There's nothing. Got
Hmm.
to do it all yourself. And in a very real way, it's like salmon. You got to go back to the breeding grounds where you came from. So it's very much back to basics. In fact, we don't even use wireless guitar to amp things. We plug in with a wire that connects to the amp. If I want to make it louder, I got to walk over and turn the knob and make it louder
Hmm.
instead of having somebody off stage. If I go like this, if I go like that, they turn it up. It immediately comes. I don't use headphones. It's
Hmm.
a little speaker in front of the microphones, and that's how you do it, meat and potato style.
Yeah,
By the way, I'm having the time of my life. It's so much fun.
that's great to hear. Now, I also was reading about you're working with George Lucas's company. You were talking about the theatrics of Kiss. George Lucas's company made the ABBA Voyage show, which I've seen is fantastic. But what I read was, and if you could confirm for me, that it's going to be much more wild, much more Kiss. I heard that Paul Stanley's jumping 50 feet in the air, and it's going to be kind of like super, like almost like superhero like.
Beyond anything that you've ever seen or experienced. The only way I can describe it, Pop House is a company that's doing it. We partnered with them. They bought the underlying rights proudly and are investing just truckloads of money into making this the kind of fan experience that no one's ever had.
Mm.
So, yes, they put on the ABBA show, which people have been talking about, but this is going to leave that in the dust. The only way I can give you a sense of what it's like is when you see holograms and stuff, you're still aware that you're here. You look to your left and there could be somebody there. You can see a cockroach running up and down your leg, whatever. You're still aware, of reality.
Mhm.
When you put on virtual glasses, this reality kind of fades because if you look up, all of a sudden you're on another planet or there's a dinosaur over here. Even when you look all around you, you're in that world.
Mhm.
Now imagine you're in a different world because each of us maybe in a different kind of thing without the glasses. It's
Yeah,
it's never been done before, and we're so hot and bothered to see it come to light. So it'll take a little more time, but when it does, people are going to be blown away.
that's really exciting. Yeah,
Yeah, and
like
you're right. We already went up to George Lucas's ILM
Mhm.
and did motion capture. We dressed
Oh,
up all in black with lots of cameras. And by the way, George Lucas stole my nanny, Tawny. Yeah, out of the blue, I got a phone call at the house many years ago. Gene. Yeah, hello. Yeah. Who's this? George. George who? George Lucas. Hi, George. How you doing? What's up? What are you? So listen, my kids are going through a time. I'm really busy. I need a really educated and very, you know, impressive nanny. And everybody talks about your nanny, Tawny. I'm going, yeah, she's really special. So I'd like to hire her. Well, I'm not going to let you hire Tawny. We love our nanny. We're all busy too, and she. But I tell you why you should let me hire her because I'm going to give her her own house, 2 acres. Going to give her security for her life and all that, and she's going to live right here. At the he's got he's like a small country right outside of San Jose, right on the grounds. I couldn't stand in the way of that. So Tawny moved up there, got married there, and when Nick was a little putz, we flew up to attend the wedding.
nice. But now, you're working with them again. Like, so, I don't know, all comes kind of full circle here.
I'll tell you a full circle moment. Life really does happen to you while you're busy making your oh so important plans. No, I got it planned out. Nope, life just happens. When I
Mhm.
first came to this country as a little kid with my mother, the first music I heard was Chuck Berry.
Mhm.
And I didn't even understand what it was. And Little Richard, the founding fathers of rock and roll.
Mhm.
And I didn't understand the words. I just, sort of made me move. My head started shaking up and down for no other music.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, and I didn't know how to dance or feel it, but it just made me kind of like an earthquake. Your body is moving. And I didn't know about rock and roll or anything. And it's so strange that uh, when Chuck Berry passed away, the family asked me to do the eulogy at his funeral with the open casket, the whole thing. And you can see it on YouTube. I was so, well, honored is a term, but I was so caught up in the monumental quirk of the great cosmic plan or whatever. So here I was, a first generation legal immigrant to America
Mhm.
who comes in contact with the music of Chuck Berry that changed music in America. Before Chuck, there were race records. That's what it was called. His music and Fats Domino and Little Richard. No, they weren't played on white radio.
Mhm.
You had guys like Pat Boone, who I know, and other people copied their records, did their versions, and the white boys had the hits. The guys that originally came up with it didn't have the hits because it wasn't played on radio. But when Chuck came around, all of a sudden, white kids flocked to it. It changed music and race relations, really. And for me to do the eulogy at the open casket, it was so. I mean, I almost broke down.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, it was quite something. Never imagined when I came to America as an 8.5-year-old kid that as a grown up, I'd be doing the eulogy for the first music that I heard here.
And then my last question for you. Um, do you have anything you'd like to say? Anything you'd like the people of Buffalo and Niagara Falls and Southern Ontario to know?
Well, sure. One thing is, I probably have a few kids running around there, but that's another story. But The other thing is my sodas, Gene Simmons money bag sodas,
Mm.
are made right there, and you guys know where it is, right on the border between New York and Canada. And strangely, not too long ago, almost a year ago, if you go to Niagara Falls, right outside of Niagara Falls, there's Gene Simmons Boulevard. Yeah, I went into the.
I did
I
hear
don't,
about this. I did hear about this
yes,
not too long ago, actually. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why, but I showed up. I
Yeah.
don't know. By the way, I don't know how long that street sign is going to stay up there, but
Are you going to
they're
pay a
actually.
visit to Gene Simmons Boulevard?
Am I what?
Are you going to pay a visit to the sign?
I was there for the christening, as it were. Of course, I attended, shook everybody's hands, talked about it, and all that stuff. But after I left, I mean, I don't know if that sign is still going to be up there because things happen.
You never know.
Yes, I do.
Oh, you're now I see what you mean.
Leave your door unlocked and see what happens.
Yeah. Um, well, Gene, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it.
You bet. I wish you well.
Thanks. You too.